Welcome to Module 3. Okay, here's what we're going to do. Between Modules 1 and Module 2, you've realized how to get set up, and then you've learned what you should be doing on a day-to-day basis. And where I left you off at the last module was showing you that your telecenter gave you a small basket, if you will, full of interested prospects. But what do you do with all of those telephone numbers? Because I kept telling you, you need to write those down in your paper call log. So what I'm actually going to do at the beginning of this module is show you how to stay organized. Now, what I recommend is that you go out to the office supply location, whatever it is in your town, and get yourself a spiral notebook. Preferably a large one, not one of the little small ones. I prefer you get a regular letter or even legal size spiral notebook that has the lines, or the ruled paper they call it, in there. Okay. Now, what you're going to be doing with each one of those, in fact, I recommend while I'm on the subject, get one that's numbered. You will highly like that. So let me show you how to stay organized with all these phone numbers that are pouring in here. Now, let's say that, and no, I am not a good artist, so I don't want to get any emails on this. Okay, let's say that on our call log here, let's say that this is our piece of paper here that we're actually working with. At the very top, write the day. And in this instance, let's just call this Tuesday, January 1st of 2001, just to give a 1101 even number. This is our date. This is our daily call log. Now, if you get a ruled spiral notebook here, then you'll actually have numbers right here that tell you which line that you're actually writing on. Now, every time you write down a phone number out of your iTelecenter, go ahead and write that phone number real small here down on your line. And if that person left you a message and their name, then I want you to write that down here as well. Now, why are we doing this? I'll get to that here in just a second on how to stay completely organized with your opportunity. Now, every time you write down a phone number, just write it real small right over to the side on that line. Now, we call people a minimum of 3 times. We call that the first call, the second call, and the takeaway, or the third call. In other words, this is your last chance, I don't chase people type of call. So we are going to be keeping up with that on these lines. So that's why it's really important that you write fairly small, but yet big enough to where you can at least read it yourself, okay? So that's exactly why we're doing this. Now, follow me, I'm going to get a little deeper into this. So every time you write down a phone number, you're going to give a first phone call. And by the way, I'm going to attach some sample scripts down below this video that you can download for your own use and invite people to the website. Remember when I told you at the beginning of this Newbie Egg series, you're going to become a professional website inviter? Well, I wasn't kidding around. You're going to be giving that website out a lot, and you're going to appreciate picking out an easy to follow name, because you're going to be giving that website name out over and over and over again. So as you begin to call using one of the scripts down below, you're going to invite that person to the website. Now, at the end of the day, you are going to have a complete day one completely ready to go. Well, guess what happens tomorrow? Well, remember your day-to-day activities. You're going to wake up in the morning, or tomorrow at lunch, or maybe even tonight, you're going to set your auto dialer and tell it when you want it to run tomorrow. Well, that yet brings up your next piece of paper in your spiral notebook. We're going to write this one a little small, but we're going to call it Wednesday. And of course the date right out beside it. And that's that day. Now, I want to tell you something that's going to happen. Your auto dialer may get finished on Tuesday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, whenever you set it to finish. You may make these phone calls. Guess what? When you wake up in the morning, or after dinner you go back to check it, you're going to see in your iTelecenter a few more came trickling in. And how is that Because your auto dialer was finished. Well, remember when we set up your auto dialer back in the beginning and I told you put your iTelecenter phone number in the caller ID section along with the forwarding phone number being the same? Well, while the auto dialer was going, it was calling all these people just as fast as it could. Those people, some, you hope, were pressing 1 and following through to your telecenter. It gave the call to your telecenter. People that weren't interested or do not call your dialer just got rid of them and trashed them out. You're only interested in those prospects. Well, guess what? All those phone numbers that you called all had the caller ID of your telecenter phone number. So even though your auto dialer is finished blasting out the calls and it's done and finished for the day, you still have a few more that come trickling in the telecenter, and that's why. They're seeing your iTelecenter missed phone call from earlier. No, your telecenter did not call them. The auto dialer is the only thing that can go outbound and call. So it called and it missed. Nobody answered, or it might have gone to their answering machine or their voicemail and they just haven't checked the message yet. Guess what? All of those caller IDs are sitting on all those phones out there. So people pick up their phone and they say, I wonder who this was. They return the phone call. They put it to their ear. Guess what happens? Their iTelecenter message starts. Your message starts just like they just pressed 1. So let's give a scenario. Let's say that the auto dialer calls your lead and the lead answers and says, oh, I am kind of interested, presses 1. Well, guess what? Your auto dialer hands the call over to the iTelecenter and the prospect hears a phone ringing and then your iTelecenter message comes on. And they listen to that long message. And now you know they're interested or not by how long they listened. Well, let's take the other scenario. The auto dialer calls your lead and the lead doesn't get the phone call. Completely misses it, voicemail doesn't get it, whatever the case is. The lead gets to their phone and they look and they say, who is this that called? And they return the phone call. They put it to their ear. Well, guess what? They hear what they would hear if they just pressed 1 because it starts at your telecenter. They don't get the auto dialer message because they can't call into your auto dialer. The auto dialer just calls outbound and finds people and hands it over to the telecenter one at a time. So when people call in, it goes to telecenter, never can go to the auto dialer. So they hear what they would hear if they had just pressed 1. It just starts off right there saying, hey, got this great opportunity, blah, 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 with a long, intentionally long message so you can judge how interested they are. Prospects in your iTelecenter literally pre-filter themselves out right in front of your eyes without them even realizing it. Their burning curiosity to find out what this is all about puts them as qualified in your eyes at your telecenter. So let's get back to this. So let's say we finished out Tuesday, but your telecenter had just a few more trickle on in. This is completely up to you, whether you write them down on the end of Tuesday or you just start your Wednesday with who trickled in overnight that you never got to. Okay? So let's go ahead and start with those. Okay, you had a few trickle in overnight. People just called in and listened to the message. Okay, if they listened long enough, which is, pay attention, 30 seconds and longer, we are going to call them back and give them the website address. So we are writing all these phone numbers down. Now, it's Wednesday. Your auto dialer has now fired up for Wednesday. And boy, here they come. They're just coming in like crazy and you are recording them one by one by one by one as they are flooding in again. Then what do? Well, remember, you're just going to pick up the phone and say, hey, I want to introduce myself. Thanks for your time listening to my message. Here's my website address. Want to make sure you got it. That's it. And we're going to give the first phone call to Wednesday's people. Well, you're not done yet. Now you've got a second phone call due all your Tuesday people. So you're going to go back and you're going to draw a little line and you're going to write a small note. Made second phone call. Or made second phone call, left voicemail again. You're going to be able to see in your notes as that line progresses along. Well, same thing's going to happen on Thursday. Getting thinner and thinner, aren't we? Okay, let's call this Thursday and the date, and we've got all our lines. Whatever trickled in from the night before, we're going to go ahead and record those, make a few phone calls back if we can. Now, if you are super aggressive with making this work, which I know you will be because it works generously money-wise, I advise that in the beginning that you occasionally go back and check your computer or that inbox and see if other people have slowly trickled in late that evening and maybe that night. Remember me telling you on the last video, if you don't get back with these people that end up in your telecenter within minutes, and I'm talking about minutes, your odds of them going to the website start to double and triple as it goes out. For example, and I'm going to attach a report down to the bottom of this video. If someone pours into your telecenter and listens to the message and hangs up or leaves you a message, whatever the case may be, they've got your website address and they don't hear from you. They're not expecting to necessarily hear from you. The more time you let go by, let's say you wait 15 minutes, which is prime example, and you give a call back and you're not selling anything. You say, hey, Mr. Prospect, my name is Sean. I noticed we were able to listen to a message that I put out. Hey, I want to thank you for your time. You listen to that. I want to make sure, were you able to write down the website address? Do you have a pen handy? And they're either going to say yes or no. And usually they say yes, whether they have the pen ready or not. But the main point was you are calling them and inviting them to the website directly. And that makes all the difference in the world. So let's take that 15 minutes and let's turn it into 2 hours. So they got your message, they hung up, they went about life's business that they go through. 2 hours later, they called. Hey, Mr. Prospect, this is Sean. You got a message from me earlier. And they're thinking, what message? What is this guy talking about or this lady talking about? I don't remember a message. And then it slowly comes back to them. Oh, yeah, that. Well, 2 hours has gone by. And there's a good possibility they've either prejudged your opportunity without even looking at it and threw it out, or they said, you know, maybe that's not for me, and they prejudged themselves being able to do it and throw it out. So let's take that 2 hours on up to the next day, and you can just pretty well just kiss it goodbye. Your odds of getting someone to the website and getting them to join are just almost zilch at that point. So I cannot stress enough with your new opportunity here that all of you new students pour in and be aggressive and return those phone calls quickly and efficiently. That's it. Okay, now you can see how Thursday works. Now we do Thursday's phone calls here. Now we're up to Wednesday now. We're taking the secondary phone calls and we're making a second phone call. Well, guess what? On Tuesday, we're calling and making those third and final takeaway calls. Now, as soon as you make a third phone call and you just absolutely cannot get a hold of anybody, you're leaving messages, you can't get anybody on the line, you have my permission to mark that name and phone number out. And slowly but surely, as other days come on in the next week, you will have everybody eventually marked out on this piece of paper. Hopefully you've gotten a pledge out of one of those people. Hopefully. If not, don't worry about it. They're coming. You've got to keep a relationship up with these people as time goes on. So what do you do with this piece of paper in your spiral notebook now? Well, now you have a completed call log. And by the way, if anyone requested to be placed on the DNC, which is do not call, you also have a paper register of that as well, that you have done it. Tear this piece of paper out of your spiral notebook and put it in, don't throw it away, put it in a file cabinet somewhere. Put it in a file, stack it in a drawer, whatever it takes in order. You'll find with them all in order, if you ever have a question, someone will, I promise you, someone will call you 2, 3, 4, sometimes 2, 3 months down the road and say, hey, this is so-and-so, I talked to you a while back, and are you still doing that cash gifting thing? Because I have the money now. Well, believe it or not, with your records, you can easily go back and start filing through and find the piece of paper and your notes that you wrote down on that person because you kept good notes, broke down day by day, and they're easiest to find. This is how you stay organized. The only thing that stays in your spiral notebook is a day that has available numbers, people that you are still working with. Now, if you get someone that you're still working with 3, 4, and 5 weeks out, which it happens, and believe it or not, a lot of times, those are the people that join in with you. then I recommend you write just their one phone number down in a separate small area on your desk or in your home somewhere so you can keep up with that person. You go ahead and tear out the other sheet and file it because you've still got one hot prospect leading there. So with that said, let me take you over to one more small area I want to talk about, because only up to this point we have only mentioned leads and prospects, but there's still one more stage I have not even mentioned yet. Okay, we have a lead, and a lead is who your auto dialer calls. You buy a lead. You can't really buy a prospect. So you buy a lead. Your lead gets called with the auto dialer. They magically turn into, some of them, a prospect. Now, a prospect is great. You only get a few prospects out of a bunch of leads. That's great. That's the way the numbers game works. But guess what? That prospect did what? Well, you're a professional website inviter, so just out of a few prospects, you're going to have a few hot prospects. Go to your website. This is what it's all about right here. This is the hot prospect. They started as a lead with a cold phone call from your auto dialer. And without even realizing it, they pressed 1 and expressed interest right in front of your eyes in the telecenter and became a prospect. You simply called them up and invited them to the website using one of the script downloads below. Simple as that. Nothing to it. Now, yes, you are going to get a hold of a handful, a very small handful of people that are just kind of rude to you. It's because they don't know what you want or what you need. There's lots of reasons. Don't let those people get a hold of you, okay? The other people are waiting to hear from you. So as soon as you turn that prospect on and they go to your website, they are a hot prospect. This is where your cash gifts are going to come from. Okay, let's move over one more thing before we finish this particular video up. Not anything I take care of here. Take credit for here, is the SW rule. Now no, this doesn't stand for Sean Whitson here, okay? This stands for, as you are going through your list, you're going to get the majority of people that are semi-inviting to you. Most people are semi-inviting. You're going to call them and say, hey, this is Sean. You actually just got one of my automated calls just a few minutes ago. I want to make sure you had the website address. Do you have a pen and paper handy? I want to make sure you got that. Most people will go, yeah, I did get that. Thanks for calling. Most people are like that. Then you're going to have your other people that are just going to talk your ear off on the phone because they haven't spoke with someone all day and you're just a lending ear. And that's fine. The gifting process, that's what it's all about. People helping people. So give that person a kind, caring, listening ear. Whether they've got the money or not, doesn't matter. Pay good attention to them and just give them the attention they're asking for. But then you're going to have that small other person that is maybe a little rude to you. Don't let those small amounts of people bring your whole activity down. Remember, you just called 6,000 people that week. And guess what? You're probably going to end up with 2, 3, maybe even 5 rude people at the end of the week. But guess what? You're going to talk to 20, 30, 40, sometimes 50 excited people that are ready to hear from you. So here's what this means. And write this down. Some will. Some won't. So what? Some are waiting on you right now. So if you get a hold of someone that seems to want to drag your day down, tell yourself this. In fact, write this next to your desk. Some will, some won't. So what? Some are waiting on you. And those people that are waiting on you make it all worth it. They're your next cash gifters. So let's move on into some. Make sure you download the scripts below and you practice them before you start making some phone calls. And let's go into some of the objections that people will give you literally live on the line. Let's work into those next. Thanks.